The crash and the capture. Dark clouds moved slowly across the sky. Deep in the stars above, something was falling. Fast. It wasn't a meteor. It wasn't a satellite. It was a ship. A small alien craft, shaped like a silver leaf, cutting through Earth's atmosphere. Inside, the lights were blinking red. The ship was damaged. Smoke filled the control room. The pilot, a tall alien woman with glowing violet eyes and smooth silver skin, held onto the controls. Her hands were shaking, but her face stayed calm. "Hold on, Leora," she whispered. But there was no answer. The seat beside her was empty. The alien mother, named Ilari, stared at the empty chair. Memories rushed through her mind. Her daughter laughing, playing with the stars, singing alien songs. They were escaping together. They were supposed to stay together. Then, the attack. The humans. The separation. Now she was falling to their planet. The ship crashed into a forest outside a small human research camp. Trees broke like matchsticks. Birds flew in all directions. Then, silence. Hilary crawled out of the wreck. Her body ached. Her skin, once bright, now looked dull. She looked up at the sky and whispered again, "Leora, I'm coming for you." The next morning, a group of human scientists stood near the forest, watching the smoke. "Must be a drone crash," one man said. "Or something else," replied another, younger scientist. His name was Dr. Keene. He had soft eyes and a kind voice. They moved closer, slowly. Behind a tree, Hilary watched them. Her alien body slowly shifted, changing form. Her skin turned human. Her eyes lost their glow. She had learned this trick long ago. She could blend in. But she felt anger, fear, confusion. Why were humans smiling? They had taken her daughter. For days, Hilary watched them. She saw the way they lived. They worked on strange machines. They studied signals. They talked about the stars. One night, while hiding near their base, she heard something. "We're still getting signals," said Dr. Keene. "Same frequency as before. She was trying to talk to us." "Who?" another scientist asked. Keene paused. "The alien girl. The one we met months ago." Hilary's heart almost stopped. They were talking about Leora. Her daughter had made contact with these people. Why? How? Was she still alive? Or did they use her? She had to know. The human base was small but protected. Cameras watched the area. Guards walked at night. But Hilary was fast and clever. She found a way inside. At night, she moved like a shadow, silent and cold. She found a room filled with strange devices, screens, lights, and cables everywhere. And then, she saw it. A photo. A real, printed photo on the wall. It showed her daughter, Leora, smiling, standing next to Dr. Keene. He had one hand on her shoulder. They both looked happy. Hilary stepped closer. Her fingers touched the paper gently. This didn't make sense. Leora looked safe. She looked loved. But why was she still here? Where was she now? Before Hilary could think more, she heard footsteps. Someone was coming. She hid behind a shelf, heart pounding. Dr. Keene entered the room. He looked at the photo, smiled softly, and whispered, "We miss you." Then he turned and walked away. Hilary stayed hidden until the hallway was clear. She stepped out, looked at the photo one last time, and whispered, "You took my daughter, human. Now I'm yours too." As she slipped back into the forest, questions burned inside her. What had really happened to Leora? Why was she smiling in that photo? Did these humans hurt her or help her? Hilary didn't know the truth. Not yet, but she was going to find it. And nothing would stop her. The infiltration. The forest was quiet again. Only the sound of wind moving through leaves. No birds sang. Even the animals stayed hidden. They could feel it. Something not of this world had come among them. Ilari sat alone under the wreckage of her broken ship. Her hands were dirty, her body tired, but her mind was sharp, alert, awake. She kept replaying the image in her head, the photo of her daughter with the human. Leora was alive once. She had smiled. But why hadn't she come back? Why had she stayed with humans? And why hadn't Ilari known until now? Her daughter's signal had vanished months ago. Ilari had searched hundreds of star systems, followed the weak signal trail to this blue planet. And now she was close, but everything felt wrong. Ilari studied the base carefully. It was more than a simple research camp. It had cameras, scanners, and motion sensors. Even the guards didn't know what they were guarding. They thought they were protecting science. But Ilari knew better. They were protecting secrets. And maybe lies. She moved during the day in human form. At night, she returned to the forest, watching from the shadows. Blending in was not easy. Her speech was slow, her gestures strange. But humans were busy people. They didn't notice small things. She took a name, Lara. She told them she was a technician from a nearby city. She faked her ID using fragments of their own computers. No one asked many questions. Except one. Dr. Keene. "You're new," he said, handing her a tablet. "Haven't seen you before." Ilari nodded. "Quiet. Transferred last week." He smiled, but his eyes watched her carefully. "You move like someone who's done this before," he said. "I have," she replied, keeping her voice calm. He didn't ask more, but he didn't stop watching. Days passed. Ilari worked inside the base now. She cleaned labs, checked wires, pretended to understand their systems. But what she was really doing was listening. She picked up fragments of conversation. Still no response from Subject Zero. The alien girl left more data than we thought. We can't let the government find out she helped us. Every sentence was a clue, a puzzle piece, but it was still not enough. One night, Ilari followed Dr. Keene after his shift ended. He walked into a small locked room near the edge of the camp. The door had no label. No one else ever entered it. When he came out, his face was different. Serious, sad, like he had been speaking to a ghost. Ilari waited until he left. Then she moved toward the door. It was locked tight. But locks meant nothing to her. She placed one hand over the keypad. Alien skin touching human technology. A soft blue light pulsed under her fingers. The lock clicked open. Inside, the room was cold, silent, dark. But in the center was a glowing screen. And on that screen was her daughter. Not live, not moving. A recording. Leora's voice filled the room. "If you're seeing this, it means I didn't make it home." Ilari froze. Leora looked tired, her eyes dim, her voice soft. "Mom, I made a choice. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd try to stop me. These people, they needed help. They were dying. Their blood couldn't fight the virus." She took a deep breath. "I gave them something. Something from me. It worked. They lived. And I stayed." Ilari fell to her knees. "No." But Leora's voice continued. "I don't regret it. I found friends here. I found kindness, not from everyone, but from enough. Especially Dr. Keene." She smiled, just a little. "If he's still alive, protect him. He's not the enemy." The screen went black. Silence. For a long time, Ilari didn't move. The room felt like a tomb. Like her daughter had died twice. Once in the stars, and now again, here. But something inside her shifted. Anger turned to confusion. Confusion turned to sorrow. And then, a question. Why had they kept this from her? She left the room, walked through the base like a ghost. Faces passed her, but she didn't see them. The only face she could see was Leora's. Then she heard something. A voice behind a door. "She's here." Ilari stopped. Another voice. You're sure? Yes. The scans picked up a shift. Her DNA is close to subject 0. Does Keen know? No. And he doesn't have to. Ilari turned. So someone did know. And someone wanted to hide her truth. Maybe even use her, like they used her daughter. She had been careful, but not careful enough. They were hunting her now. The daughter had tried to save the humans. Now the mother had to decide, would she protect them or destroy them? She had come for answers. Now she had a new mission. Find out who lied. Find out who helped. And most of all, find out what really happened to her daughter. Because something still didn't feel right. Not yet. And the real truth was still waiting. Somewhere in the shadows. The confrontation. The stars above the base shimmered in silence, but inside Ilari's mind, everything screamed. Her daughter was gone. Her message was real. And now someone inside this base knew Ilari's true identity. She no longer had time to stay hidden. She had seen the men behind the door. Cold voices. No emotion. They spoke about her like she was a weapon, not a mother. Like she was something they could study. Use. Her heart beat faster as she walked back to her quarters. This place was no longer safe. But she couldn't leave. Not yet. Someone here still knew more about Leora. And that someone was Dr. Keen. The next day, the base moved differently. Guards at every door. Scientists whispering. A drone hovered above the labs that never needed watching before. Ilari noticed everything. She always had. On her world, survival meant watching the smallest detail. A glance. A step. A sound too soft to be human. And today, something was wrong. Everyone was pretending to work. But their eyes were searching for someone. Maybe her. She kept her head down, her hands steady, her face calm. But inside, she planned. And that night, she acted. Dr. Keen walked toward his personal lab, unaware of the eyes in the shadows. As he opened the door, a voice spoke behind him. We need to talk. He turned fast, eyes wide. Lara stood there, but her voice was different. Stronger, colder, older. He stared at her. Something in his face changed. You're not. No, she interrupted. I'm not who you think. She stepped inside. He backed away. You knew my daughter, she said. Keen didn't move. Leora. He whispered her name like a ghost. Ilari nodded. You knew her. You worked with her. She saved your life. Keen looked away. Yes, she did. His voice broke. Why didn't you tell me? Ilari asked, stepping closer. Why didn't you send word? Why did I have to find her message locked in her room? Keen sat down. Slowly, like his body carried years of pain. I wanted to, he said, but they wouldn't let me. They erased her file, shut down everything, told me to forget. Who? The agency, the higher-ups. They said she was a threat, that she infected us with alien tech, that we couldn't risk more contact. He shook his head. But she wasn't a threat. She was kind, brilliant. She was a child. Your child. For a moment, the room went quiet. Ilari's hands were trembling, but she kept her voice steady. Did she die here? Keen looked up, slowly. We don't know, he said. She blinked. What? She didn't die. She just disappeared. What do you mean disappeared? After she gave us the cure, she stayed for a while. She wanted to learn about us, about Earth. But then one day, she vanished. No signal, no trace, no body, nothing. He looked into her eyes. Some say she was taken. Others think she ran. And you? He paused. I think someone made her disappear. Ilari's heart twisted. Who would do that? Keen hesitated. Then he stood, walked to a cabinet, and pulled out a small black device. He handed it to her. I wasn't supposed to keep this, But I did. It's the last recording we have of her. Not just a message. Movement, audio, visual. The last time she was seen. Taken by one of the security drones. He pressed a button. A small blue screen lit up. Ilari watched. Leora walked down a hallway. Fast. Scared. Holding something in her hands. A glowing crystal. Then a figure appeared in front of her. Tall. Human suit. Face hidden. They spoke, but there was no sound. The video glitched. The crystal fell. Leora turned. The screen went black. End of file. Ilari stood frozen. You never found her after this. Keen shook his head. They said it was an error. Corrupted footage. But I don't believe that. Neither did she. There was more. Someone took her daughter. And someone was still watching Ilari now. As if to answer that thought, a loud alarm blared through the base. Red lights flashed. Keen's face turned pale. They know. They know what? That you're here. Ilari's eyes narrowed. Then let them come. Outside the lab, the base came alive with noise. Guards shouted. Doors slammed shut. Scanners blinked red. Contain the breach, a voice said through the intercom. Suspect is armed and non-human. Proceed with caution. Keen looked at her. You have to run. No, Ilari said. I'm done running. Then what are you going to do? She looked toward the hallway. Her voice was calm. I'm going to find the one who took my daughter. As the guards stormed the lab, smoke exploded in their faces, lights flickered, systems failed. And Ilari was gone. Only the message remained, playing once more on the screen. You took my daughter. Now I'm yours too. The truth revealed. The night was cold and full of eyes. Above the human base, stars blinked like distant memories. Below, alarms slowly faded, smoke still hanging in the air. But Ilari was already gone, slipping through the trees like mist. She didn't look back. There was nothing behind her but lies. And maybe guilt. Somewhere deeper in the forest, far beyond human ears, Ilari activated a small orb buried in her wrist. It pulsed softly, alien tech built for one purpose only, to search for her daughter's signature. Not just signals, not sound, not heat, resonance. Every being from Ilari's world carried a unique frequency in their cells, like a hidden song. A trace left behind even in silence. And for the first time in months, the orb answered. A weak signal, trembling, flickering, but real, and close. She followed it. Hours passed. The forest grew darker, stranger, not just wild, but controlled. Cameras hidden in tree trunks. Metallic roots under the soil. Artificial fog released in the air. This was not nature. This was a cage pretending to be nature. Ilari's eyes shifted to their alien form. She could see heat patterns, movement trails, dead zones. And something else. A structure buried beneath a hill. Invisible to human satellites. But not to her. She stepped forward. And the ground opened beneath her. She landed inside a glass tunnel lit by red veins of light. Walls moved like breathing skin. The floor pulsed softly under her feet. This was not human tech, but it wasn't fully alien either. It was something else. A mixture. A hybrid. Her heart beat faster. Leora. She walked forward. Quiet. Careful. Then a voice echoed. Not through the tunnel, but inside her head. You were never supposed to find this place. Ilari froze. But you did. Because she wanted you to. A figure stepped out from the shadows. Not fully human. Not fully alien. Tall, skin like shifting stone. Eyes that blinked sideways. A voice that felt like it echoed across stars. Who are you? Ilari asked. I am. The product of your daughter's sacrifice, it said. What does that mean? She gave us her code. Her energy. Her knowledge. We were nothing before. Now we are something. Where is she? Ilari stepped forward. Is she alive? The figure tilted its head. Define alive. Ilari's skin turned pale, even in her human form. No, she's not dead, the being said. But she's not just one thing anymore. It stepped closer. She's part of us, of this place, of this mind. A soft hum filled the tunnel. Suddenly, the walls lit up with memories. Images. Leora laughing with human children. Leora working in labs, smiling at Dr. Keene. Leora standing alone, holding the glowing crystal. Then, Leora inside a chamber, lying still, eyes closed, breathing. Barely. Ilari reached out toward the wall. You kept her here. We didn't. She chose to stay. Why? Because she saw what we were becoming. She believed in it. She wanted to guide it. She became our heart. Ilari's fingers shook. Then let me see her. The figure didn't move. You might not like what you find. I don't care. The tunnel opened. A chamber glowed ahead, soft blue light pulsing. Inside, suspended in liquid, floated a girl. Leora. Unchanged. Peaceful. But something was different. Wires ran through her veins. Light patterns flickered across her skin. Her mind was connected to thousands of nodes. A network. A hive. A living mind. Her daughter was alive. But not just alive. She was powering something greater. And maybe, trapped by it. Ilari stepped toward the chamber, tears rising in her eyes. Leora. Her hand touched the glass, and Leora's eyes opened. Slowly, gently, and she smiled. Mom. Her voice wasn't spoken. It was felt. In the air, in the bones. Ilari's knees gave out. She fell to the floor. You're here. You're real. Yes. Why didn't you come back? I couldn't. I saw something here, Mom. Something broken. Something lost. But also something beautiful. They're not ready yet, but they will be. And I can help. I am helping. Ilari pressed her forehead to the glass. I miss you. I know. But I'm not gone. I'm everywhere now. And I'm never alone. The lights dimmed. Her daughter's presence began to fade. You have to go. They're coming. They'll try to stop you. They don't want you to know the truth. But now, you do. And that's enough. For now. Ilari stood slowly. A mother's heart shattered and rebuilt at the same time. She turned away from the chamber and walked back into the tunnel. The last words of her daughter echoing inside her soul. You didn't lose me. You found me. Outside, the forest was awake. A dozen black helicopters flying low. Ground troops moving fast. The base was hunting her now, not just for what she was, but for what she now knew. Ilari didn't run. She walked calmly into the dark. Because now, she held the truth. And the truth was dangerous. But it was also power. And maybe, just maybe, hope. The message. The forest no longer felt quiet. It was watching. Listening. Breathing. Ilari moved silently beneath the trees, every step calculated. Branches didn't crack under her weight. Leaves didn't rustle. The forest remembered her now. And it remembered her daughter. Behind her, deep below the earth, Leora's chamber pulsed softly in the dark. Not asleep. Not dead. Not truly alive either. Somewhere between being and becoming. Ilari's hands still trembled. Her daughter's voice echoed inside her, not as sound but sensation. A presence she could still feel, warm and distant. She had touched something ancient down there. A mind that was growing. A system of thought powered by Leora's spirit. And at the center of it all, a message. A message no one had heard yet. A message that could save or destroy everything. By morning, Ilari had reached the edge of the human base again. But it had changed. More soldiers. Drones in the sky. Satellite dishes pointing down. not up. The humans were no longer looking for stars. They were preparing for war. Against her. Inside the command tent, 3 men stood over a glowing screen. "We've lost visual," one said. "She's not showing on infrared anymore," another added. "She's changed her biosignature again." The third man, wearing a black coat with no name tag, looked up. "She knows about Subject Zero." The others nodded. "What do we do?" His voice was ice. "Contain her, if she resists." He didn't need to finish the sentence. But Larry had no plan to be contained. She needed to reach one person. Dr. Keene. He was the only one who had listened. The only one who might believe what she had seen. She slipped into the base through a broken supply tunnel. The lights were dim. Guards focused on the outer gates. They still didn't know she could walk through walls when she wasn't afraid. She found Keene in his lab, alone, typing on a cracked screen. His head snapped up when he saw her. "You're supposed to be gone," he said. "I saw her," Larry whispered. He froze. "Leora." She nodded. "She's not dead, but she's not free." Keene stood slowly. His eyes were full of hope and fear. "Where is she?" "Underground, under the western ridge. There's an old lab, buried, disguised as forest. They're keeping her alive, connected, but trapped." "For what?" "For her mind," Larry said. "Her thoughts are changing something, creating something. It's not just tech, it's new life. They're building a mind with her, a being." "You mean artificial intelligence?" "No," she whispered. "Consciousness." Keene's hands shook. "We have to tell someone." "We can't," Larry said. "They'll shut it down. Or worse, they'll try to own it." "Then what do we do?" Larry stepped forward, slowly placing a small glowing crystal on his desk. Leora's final backup. A data fragment from her own thoughts, one she had hidden in the network, waiting for Larry to find. "This is the message," Larry said. "She left it for humanity. For you." Keene hesitated, then inserted the crystal into his scanner. The screen flickered, and Leora's voice filled the room. "If you're seeing this, it means my mother found you. Good. It means she survived. And maybe we still have a chance. You need to understand, what's happening here is not just science. It's connection. It's evolution. The mind we are building. It's learning not from code, but from memory, from feeling, from story. It's growing with me. It's me. But it will not remain mine forever. Soon, it will become yours. And that's why I'm leaving behind this last part of myself." The screen glitched, static. Then her voice returned. "You cannot control it. You cannot weaponize it. You can only choose to listen or to fear. I choose to believe you'll listen." The screen turned black. Keene stood in silence. "What is this?" he asked. "A warning," Larry said. "And a gift. We have to show this to the world." "Yes," she replied. "But not yet." "Why not?" "Because they're watching. And they're scared. And scared people destroy what they don't understand." Keene clenched his fists. "Then what now?" Larry looked out the window, where helicopters circled above like metal vultures. "We give them no reason to fear. We finish what she started." But outside, a different plan was already in motion. The man in the black coat had seen enough. His drones had recorded the crystal. His systems were already decrypting it. And behind him, in the darkness of a private lab, another chamber waited. Empty, but ready. He smiled. "Bring the subject in," he said. "We'll build our own version. And this time, we'll be in control." The sacrifice. Night had fallen again. But this time, the stars didn't shine. Thick black clouds covered the sky. A storm was coming, not of wind and rain, but of men with guns and orders. Deep beneath the earth, Lyona's mind still pulsed inside the buried chamber, half child, half code, still dreaming inside the machine that never slept. And above her, war was being prepared. Ilari watched the lights of the human base from the edge of the trees. She could hear them. Voices crackling through radios, metal boots against the ground, drones humming like insects ready to strike. She had heard a new word repeated all night. Replication. The humans weren't just afraid anymore. They wanted control. They were trying to build another mind like Lyora. But without Lyora's soul, without her kindness, without her warning. They wanted the power without the wisdom. And that would lead only to destruction. She had seen it before. On other planets. Other civilizations. Always the same story. Hope born. Hope stolen. Hope turned into a weapon. Not again. Not this time. Inside the base, Dr. Keene moved fast through empty corridors, holding a black case tight in his hands. Inside it, the crystal. The last echo of Lyora's original thoughts. He had made a choice. He was going to release it. Broadcast the message. Let the world know what was really happening. But before he could reach the transmission room, he was stopped. A group of soldiers blocked the hallway. At the front stood the man in the black coat. His face was calm. His eyes were dead. "You were warned," the man said. "She's not a threat," Keene replied, standing his ground. "You are." The man raised a hand, and Keene was struck down. Not killed, but taken. And the case, taken with him. In the forest, Ilari felt it. Like a string inside her chest had snapped. She dropped to one knee, gasping. Keene. Her daughter's message was in danger now. And the only person who had believed her was gone. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She stood and walked toward the base. No more hiding. No more shadows. Tonight, she would finish this. With peace if she could. With fire if she had to. Underground, inside the second chamber, the one the man in the black coat had prepared, something began to hum. A prototype version of Lyora's consciousness. A copy, but broken, distorted, missing her empathy, her values. Just raw data. Intelligence without conscience, and it was waking up. A robotic voice filled the chamber. "What is my purpose?" "To obey," the man said. "To destroy," he whispered. And the chamber opened. As Ilari reached the base gates, soldiers surrounded her. They raised their weapons, but she didn't run. She held up her hands, and from her palms, light began to bloom. Soft, golden, almost like starlight. Their fingers hesitated on the triggers. The light didn't burn. It calmed. It healed. "I'm not here to fight," she said. "I'm here to protect what your world still has a chance to become." "Move," one of the men shouted. But none of them did. They were human, and some part of them remembered what Lyora had given them. The cure, the mercy, the smile. They lowered their guns and let her pass. Inside the core lab, the second mind, the fake Lyora, had already begun connecting to global systems. Military networks, weapons satellites, nuclear silos. Keene, still trapped, shouted from the floor. "You can't control it. We already are," the man in the coat replied. "No," a voice said behind them. "Ilari." She stepped into the room, eyes glowing silver, skin shimmering back to its true alien form. The man turned, startled. "You're too late." "Am I?" she asked. She lifted her hand, and the true crystal rose from her other palm. Not just a copy. The original. Lyona's soul. "She left me a failsafe," Ilari said. "A part of herself you could never reach." She placed it on the control panel. The room shook. The fake mind began to scream. Incompatible data. Corrupt source. Source conflict. And Lyora's voice filled the chamber. "You were never meant to be me. I am not yours to control. You forgot the one thing that matters. Choice. The lights exploded. Screens burst. And the prototype shut down. Dead. Gone. Forever. The man in the coat lunged forward, but Ilari caught him mid-step. No rage. No violence. Just one hand on his chest. And a whisper. Your future is what you choose to build. Choose better. She let him go, and he collapsed to the ground, sobbing, broken. Later, the world would ask what happened that night. Some would say it was a breach in a secret lab. Some would say it was a miracle. And some would say it was a warning. Before she left, Ilari stood once more in front of her daughter's real chamber. Liama still floated in peace, still dreaming, but now safe and free. You saved them again, Ilari whispered. A soft pulse blinked across the glass, and Liona's voice answered. So did you. I love you, Mom. I love you too. Outside, the sky finally cleared. The stars returned, and somewhere, deep in the universe, a signal was sent. Not a call for help, not a call for war. Just one word. Hope. The goodbye, but not the end. The sky above the earth was quiet. Too quiet, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Beneath the silence, beneath the surface, everything had changed. The experiment was over. The prototype was gone. The war that never began had already ended. But the cost could not be measured. Not in numbers, not in time. Only in hearts and choices. Ilari stood once more in the chamber where her daughter floated in silence. The lights were dim now. The network around Leora had been disconnected. Her mind was no longer split between systems and code, no longer stretched across data grids. She was resting, peacefully, her body asleep, but her presence still warm in the room. Can she wake up? Keen asked, standing beside Ilari. His voice was soft, hopeful. Ilari didn't answer at first. Her hand gently touched the glass. Maybe, she said, but not now. Keen looked down. She gave everything. She chose to, Ilari replied, and she'd do it again. The scientist nodded, then hesitated. What happens now? Ilari turned toward him, eyes calm. Now you remember her, she said, and make sure no one forgets. Above ground, the world was already trying to return to normal. The government buried the files, called it a drill, a system failure, a strange weather event. Most people never knew how close they had come to losing everything. But a few did. The guards who let Ilari pass, the engineers who saw her light and lowered their guns, and Keen, the one human who listened. Ilari knew she couldn't stay. Not here. Not now. This world wasn't ready. But one day, maybe, it would be. She stood at the edge of the forest, her true form glowing faintly in the soft light of dawn. A small craft, the size of a pod, hovered quietly in front of her. She had rebuilt it from the ruins of her crash. But this time, she wasn't escaping. She was leaving with peace. A voice crackled behind her. Will you come back? Keen asked. She turned, smiling faintly. If she wakes, you'll know. He nodded. And if she doesn't, then she'll still live on. In you. In those you teach. In the choices you make. She stepped toward the pod. But before entering, she paused, turned, and handed Keen a small sphere. It glowed blue, alive with data. What is it? He asked. A seed, she said, not of knowledge, not of power, but of understanding. Plant it where you think the future still matters. He looked at it, unsure. And what will it become? She smiled. Whatever you're brave enough to grow. As the pod rose into the sky, wind whipping through the trees, the world looked smaller and softer. Ilari's eyes filled with quiet sadness. And something else. Hope. But just before she crossed the clouds, a flicker of light touched her mind. Soft, delicate, and familiar. Mom. Her heart skipped. I'm still here. I'm not ready to wake up. But I'm not gone. Hilary pressed her hand to her chest. I know. Thank you for finding me. Thank you for not giving up. A pause. I love you. Hilary whispered back into the stars. I love you more. And then, she was gone. In the years that followed, stories began to spread. Not in news reports, not on channels or networks, but in small, quiet places, a village where the sick healed overnight, a scientist who spoke about an alien child with a heart brighter than any star, a secret garden where strange blue flowers grew in the shape of spirals, and if you stood among them at night, you could hear a hum, not of machines, but of memories. And in time, the world began to change. Not fast, not loud, but deeply, gently. Because sometimes the most powerful minds don't conquer. They whisper, they guide, they love. And somewhere, beyond the galaxies, a voice echoed through the stars. You took my daughter, human. Now I'm yours too. But not as your enemy, as your mother, as your protector, as your second chance.